Now to Ross Feingold. He is a political risk analyst and former Asia chairman of Republicans Abroad. He joins us from Taipei. Ross, things obviously not starting out very well with China for the Biden administration. How bad is the rift right now between China and the U.S.?
I think both sides knew going into these talks that the situation is simply not friendly. And we saw in the first day that each side is obviously maintaining its well-known positions. China is saying a number of these issues are its domestic affairs. They're certainly not going to concede anything in that regard. Then they're not going to concede anything when the U.S. raises sovereignty disputes in the South China Sea, threats against Taiwan, economic issues, cyber espionage, and things like that. So the safest thing for these negotiations or these talks was probably to simply have low or no expectations. In a way, it seems like Blinken and Sullivan came prepared with a set of remarks, but the delivery was certainly not emphatic. So one might say that despite pointing out the various obvious issues, they didn't bring a very combative tone. And the Chinese side, they were very emphatic in their tone as well as in their words. And I think that's why we're seeing, to the extent we could really ascertain public opinion in China, that at least the online chatter in China and, of course, the state media is saying that they did a great job. Contrast that with, I don't think we're going to see people in the United States say that Blinken and Sullivan did such a wonderful job. I think it's just going to be, okay, they came and stated the U.S. positions.
As far as the Biden administration's approach to China, some people had expected after the Trump presidency for the new administration to try to mend relations with China. What does this say about their approach, given what's happened in Alaska?
At the present time, the administration, they're still new. They're still formulating what their policies would be with regard to China, the Indo-Pacific region more broadly, even though they've had some substantive actions, such as the Quad heads of government meeting on March 12th. But look, they're a new team. They're still building the team. So a lot of their foreign trade security policies are still in work in progress, and China is one of them. And I think we kind of saw that today, that their China policy is still a work in progress. But of course, as you indicated, they have to respond to domestic constituencies as well. And most notably, that's Congress. And Congress is a place where there's bipartisan pressure for the Biden administration not to concede much or anything to China.
From this first initial meeting, both sides seem unwilling to negotiate, but China knows how to play the long game. We know that. Do you think that China will sit back and try to wait this out to see if the U.S. will budge, especially because China at the moment seems to be in a much stronger position economically following the pandemic?
It's an interesting question, and that observation that China's playing the long game is, it's frequently made about Chinese leadership or their decision-making style. It's very clear, though, that the Biden administration will want to work with China on certain issues, and they've made that clear already, even though it was kind of lost in the first days back and forth. But there are issues like climate change, Iran nuclear agreement, to a lesser extent, COVID-19 related issues, where the Biden administration is going to look to have some kind of working relationship. And frankly, there's probably going to be some trade issues. Biden was very critical of some aspects of the Trump administration trade policy. So there's going to be a desire by the Biden administration on things like market access. So China does have some leverage there when the U.S. does come and say, we want to work with you on climate, Iran, or will you please buy more U.S. agricultural products? That didn't happen today, per se, but it's certainly something that might happen in the coming weeks or months.
All right, Ross Feingold in Taipei. Ross, thank you.